Thank you for that announcement and send off. Welcome back to another edition of Across the Plane. This is one of your four hosts on the Zoom, our first full-on virtual Zoom meeting. Tristan Harris. You can find me on Twitter at Tradity_19. I'm going to turn my brightness up a bit. Give me show my face a little bit more. It's better.
No one needs to see your face.
To my, I think it's to my left is Marcel, and Marcel, I am on your right.
You're actually on my left on my screen. But yo, this is Marcel, aka at Styles_Rapist Life. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, man. Let me tell you, on Twitter right now, I am all Justin Fields. That is all I can talk about on Twitter right now. Do not come to me. Kanye didn't drop the album, so all I can do is talk about Justin Fields right now. Make sure you give me a follow on both social medias, though.
Yo, what is going on, folks? This is Will coming to you from across the plane. Make sure you check us out on the socials. That is at Across the Plane. That's the with an A. And check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Sports Talk Willie.
Jake the Rookie, and that's THA, like across the plane. And follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And also follow Across the Plane on YouTube. Fantasy football season's coming up. We're gonna have content for that. And you know what? Shout out Team USA, men and women, for taking home the gold in basketball.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a lot of people doubting the men's team, but they turned around and.
So what is this? Is this? It's not the meme team that won gold. It's not quite the redeem team or a dream team.
This is definitely the B- team.
B team. No, Rio 2016 was definitely the B team. That's for sure. Don't forget 2016.
Yeah, and this is B- because they lost the game, so they're losing another point for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, congratulations to all of Team USA. And let me tell you, if the football was in the Olympics, the Team USA would probably win that one too. Ladies and gentlemen, football season is here. It is thriving. We have preseason games. We have rookies excelling. We have veterans on new teams. Oh, man, it is great. It is a great time. Football is, official regular season. You still got about 3 weeks till that, but hey, I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. But a few weeks ago, we got an answer to a very important question on whether or not Aaron Rodgers was going to return to the Green Bay Packers and never play for the Packers again. And I feel like all of us on this show kind of felt like all had a feeling that Rodgers was going to be with the Green Bay Packers this season. But I think we all also on the show enjoyed all the slander and got to throw some shade at Packers fans for the last few months. But Aaron Rodgers has returned to Green Bay. He is there. He is practicing. He is playing this season. We could easily talk about what's coming after this season. But right now, I really want to talk about his press conference when he returned and how he just like completely shaded the Green Bay Packers organization. Just from my viewpoint, from the one hand, I strongly dislike Aaron Rodgers, and it just really makes him sound like a pompous asshole and super cocky as he sat up there and threw the organization under the bus, and kind of said, "I am the organization." However, as a person who is totally in favor of player empowerment, I totally loved it. He's right. People want to come and play for Green Bay because of me, not because of the GM, not because of Matt LaFleur. They want to come play with Aaron Rodgers, and, maybe Devontae Adams, but that doesn't matter. So, I hated it because it was Aaron Rodgers, but I loved it because Aaron Rodgers, was truthful. He kept it 100. So, what was y'all's thoughts on his press conference?
Honestly, I thought it was awesome. He had all the receipts that you could possibly want. He name dropped Matthews. He name dropped Jordy. He name dropped. I think he name dropped Blake Martinez in there too at one point. But man, I loved it, especially as a Vikings fan, watching just face the franchise and front office just kind of butt heads, and then even Gudicek, is that the GM's name?
Something like that.
Isn't it Gutekunst?
Rudy Coons, yeah, some along the lines. His response I thought was hilarious. He just kind of rolled over and showed his belly, like, "Yep, we messed up. We've been messing up, and it's not. I'm glad. Good for Aaron. I'm happy for Aaron. Now let's have them go 6-11."
But and his response was just like so full of crap. You could tell it was just he really wanted to say something else, but he's like, if I want to keep my job, this is what I have to say.
Exactly.
So, because that's not how I would have responded if I was the GM, But Aaron Rodgers isn't my quarterback, so
it's true.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty awesome, and I think it's still, like I've been saying, I think it's leading the way for Aaron Rodgers' exit next year. I think that is coming, but I think we see an Aaron Rodgers FU season, and maybe not winning MVP, but MVP caliber. But yeah, I loved the press conference. I mean, just being super open like that. I'm all about the player empowerment, so I enjoyed it, and again, I think it's another step closer to Aaron Rodgers leaving the NFC North.
he's just gonna ram us all this year, isn't he?
Watch out.
Probably
He just
one more
gonna just
year.
take it out on the entire NFC North division.
One more year.
Are you
I
saying,
wouldn't be
Jake?
surprised.
Bears.
I wouldn't be surprised if he sweeps the division.
I would,
will.
because it's not like the Packers outside of Aaron Rodgers did much to improve their roster. They brought back the real addition this offseason was ensuring Aaron Rodgers is playing for them this year.
I just have a feeling if there's anyone Rodgers is going to take out this anger on, it is going to be the NFC North.
Yeah,
and
they're not going 6-11. Let's be completely real with ourselves.
Who said that was my prediction? I just would like them to go 6-11.
I don't think we're gonna fall for that. It seems like every year we fall for maybe Green Bay will fall off, but when we finally do our prediction,
not again.
I feel like we're not gonna fall for that again.
No, I think they're gonna win the division. With Rodgers back, I think they're primed to win the division. He's definitely gonna put up numbers. And I know as much as Vikings fan and Bears fans hate to acknowledge it, it's a three team race this year. All three of us.
I agree.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not going to deny the Packers are probably going to win the division, but I'm just going to hope
Bears are probably a tier below the Vikings and the Packers.
Okay, that's a conversation for another day.
They're like 1B,
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, welcome back, Aaron Rodgers. I really hope he gets to face Justin Fields twice this year. That's what I'm really looking forward to. But there is another quarterback situation. I don't even know what to call it, brewing in Houston. Their star quarterback, Deshaun Watson, is at training camp, but he's not playing quarterback. I guess technically he is practicing, but they don't have him practicing at the quarterback position. They just basically are throwing him out there. I think he's free safety one right now, honestly.
Safety number 2. He's wide receiver number 3. I believe he's running back number 4 on the depth chart at the moment. And I heard they're going to give him some run at defensive end this upcoming week.
We might see him kick a field goal in practice.
Oh, he's definitely kicking field goals this weekend. Yeah, like you said earlier, it's a very interesting situation. Sorry.
Are you guys dead serious?
Yeah.
Well, he's been doing different positions like safety, receiver. I think he was doing running back individual drills.
Is this just a circus over in Houston?
So Deshaun Watson has been at every practice for Houston, Texas training camp. He made it aware before training camp. He was gonna.
No, actually, he missed practice today. He was not at practice today for the first time.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Deshaun Watson did miss practice on Monday today.
But he has been there.
Or missed the circus.
Yeah, he has been there, but he has not been taking quarterback reps for them. He has just basically been there as an extra camp body. It is. You know what, this whole thing is just insane.
I
We basically
don't.
went the whole summer with hearing nothing about it. Like, Rodgers, the Rodgers news really overtook, the quarterback talk. And like no one talked about Deshaun Watson. I really don't want to go too much into his case because, it's just a really messy area. But no one's really doing anything. Like the NFL isn't doing anything. The Texans aren't doing anything. Watson isn't even doing anything. And I just think that's really weird to me that nothing's happening. There doesn't seem to be an investigation from the NFL. Doesn't seem like Houston is concerned about this at all. It does seem like Houston wants to trade him, but I mean, what are you waiting for? Like you have him in practice doing nothing. You're now paying him right now to do nothing. What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Give it like,
and he's gonna show, and he's gonna continue to show up to get his check.
yep.
Houston's
And
gotta cut
his,
him or not.
his value is just going to get lower once whatever punishment comes out of this comes out.
And I
You might
just
as well
don't.
trade.
I
might as
don't
well
get
trade him.
why, if he's gonna show up, you're not gonna suspend him or cut him or whatever. Why don't you give him reps at quarterback? He's your best option. Stop being, and don't let him get reps at another position. That's just making this a circus at that point.
Him getting reps, period, whether it's quarterback, free safety, wide receiver 3, it's just taking reps away from an actual safety, an actual wide receiver 3. They drafted Davis Mills, I believe, in the 3rd round right after Kellen Mond as well. They also brought in Tyrod Taylor as well to play quarterback. So they're just wasting kind of a lot of people's and players' times by allowing him to practice instead of just trading him. Get some assets, whatever picks in the future you get, maybe a player that can play now, but let another team deal with the legal aspect of it. If you're the Texans now, just kind of try to focus on rebuilding your franchise.
You think
that's another thing that doesn't make sense.
You think his value has decreased in the last since the first beginning of the allegation?
Yes, I think
even after all of it.
Yeah,
still it's decreased in the last like 2 months.
Only his value is probably as high as it will ever be unless he is completely cleared of this whole allegation, which I do not think is going to happen. Just from the stories and testimonies that have been told, I believe he's going to get some sort of punishment out of this. But I do.
But somebody's telling the truth.
But it's going to be really. I don't understand why the NFL isn't stepping in and trying to figure out what's going on here. I don't understand. Houston again. I believe he's going to get punished some way, and his value is going to drop once that punishment comes out. Why hang on to him longer than that? Get what you can for him, which you're not going to get what you want for him. If he wasn't under investigation, you're getting a huge package. That is out the window.
Still are trying to secure a 1st-round pick, though.
You're still going to get a good package because it's Deshaun Watson, and eventually he is going to play football at some point, and he's going to be a great quarterback when he does.
Yeah.
The question is, why wait? Get it over with. Get him out of there. Get the distraction out of there, and get your tankathon going in full motion. Because as long as he's there, he's going to be a distraction.
Yeah, and I honestly can't wait to see him on a new team because once he has an offensive line, man, I think he could be a league MVP.
Absolutely could be. Yeah, it'll be super interesting to monitor going forward. I agree with you, Marcel. I do think he sees some form of punishment from the NFL. What it is, I'm not sure. I would be surprised if it's very a major long suspension, just based on what the NFL does and how they operate. But yeah, I don't get why the Texans won't go ahead and trade Deshaun Watson. But then again, I don't get why the Texans do a lot of the things they do. So that's just
for a second and David Johnson.
Just further proving, that a bad organization will never be successful. I mean, he's just a distraction. So hopefully he's on a new team, but I I mean, I don't think he's on a new team before the season starts. Do you guys think he's on a new roster?
Not before the season.
I think Houston. If he should be, I definitely think he should be on a different roster. Is Houston competent enough to trade him before? Then I don't know. I don't know why you going to the season with him. You're not even giving him practice reps. You gonna go with him as QB3?
I think they're hoping for some quarterback to get injured, and
an excuse to be like Deshaun's got to play now.
Not even Houston, but even like to increase his value. You know what I'm saying? Say like your guy gets hurt down. I don't know who has a crap backup. I don't even know.
Really?
It's like
I think the teams that need quarterbacks are gonna. I don't think an injury is gonna change someone trading for Deshaun Watson. I think if
what do you think the most likely targets would be right now?
Philadelphia is my number one. I think one they're in the other conference, which makes it a little more enticing to.
What about the Giants?
Daniel Jones continues to have a poor camp in preseason like he's had. I wouldn't be surprised if they made I wouldn't call it an irrational move, but a bold move of the sorts. I've been reading that Carolina's been monitoring that situation as well.
Giants defense is pretty underrated too.
Mm-hmm.
But their offensive line might honestly be worse than Houston's.
Mm-hmm.
Their offensive line was awful last year, even with Andrew Thomas, who was awful last year.
And they've spent plenty of first-round picks on offensive linemen already, especially under Gibson.
I think Washington is the perfect fit. I just don't think Washington's going to trade for him. Well, let me tell you, it would be a totally Washington thing to do. But after the whole sexual allegations they just went through, I think trading for Deshaun Watson would be a PR nightmare for them. However, Dan Snyder is the owner, and he is used to PR nightmare, so maybe he just says, screw it. You know, the talent's there. Washington's offensive line is pretty good. They have pretty good weapons down there, and their defense is going to be really good. And Ron Rivera and Deshaun Watson, that sounds like a pretty cool.
So we're predicting Deshaun Watson to the NFC East. That's what we're predicting.
NFC East makes the most sense. Pretty much everywhere but Dallas. Miami too, but I just don't think Houston. I don't see star quarterbacks getting traded to another team in the conference. I just don't think it's going to happen. So yeah, that is definitely a situation. I'm keeping my Adam Schefter notifications on, waiting to see what that's to come of, because it is definitely an interesting story going into the season. And I think everyone is just handling this awfully. I don't like how Houston's handling it. I don't like how the NFL's handling it. I mean, we haven't even heard from Deshaun Watson in months, so he's not going to say anything. So, that's probably best for him to just stay quiet and let everything play out. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that, see how that goes. So we had a bunch of quarterbacks make their debut this past weekend.
Yes, we did.
There's 5 first round rookies that made their debut, but I also want to talk about a 6th quarterback that made his debut who didn't get to play last year, but was a first round pick last year. So yeah, there will be 6 quarterbacks we'll be talking about, mentioning. You already know who's going last, because my boy's gotta be last, so he's gonna be last. But Mac,
because the game is slow right now.
The game it's too slow, or as PFF said, it's too slow. They try to make him say. Mac Jones had a pretty impressive debut against I believe it was Pittsburgh, correct? I believe. Huh?
Again,
Washington.
I think you're right. It was against Washington, but Mac Jones made his debut and was pretty solid, in my opinion. I love the Mac Jones to New England pick from the very beginning. I thought New England was really the best spot he could thrive, and he looked really solid. And again, it's just preseason. But I definitely see him being a solid starting quarterback for the long-term future in New England. Tom Brady 2.0,
Draft
way too early for that. But
I don't know. Is it way too early for that?
You know what, Jake? Maybe you're right. Maybe we should just hype up all these quarterbacks. They all let's just get them all. They're all Hall of Famers.
We can hype up these quarterbacks after one preseason game.
Yep.
Most of them against twos. You saw how many players got held up or across the league. There was, I believe.
Let's talk about my new collection of washable rugs for Ruggable. Are you ready to be
10 teams that held 20 plus players out?
Wow.
Yeah,
we'll talk about the Vikings in a bit. They held out 30, I think, right?
We had out 32, and the Rams held out 38.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy. But yeah, man. I saw some of the game live, but yeah, I checked out all the quarterbacks every single play on that video on YouTube. Just kind of see how they did. And, yeah, man, Mac Jones looked really confident. And honestly, all the quarterbacks did. Well, okay, except for one, but I'll talk about him in a minute. But yeah, he looked really good in the pocket, really poised. I think playing for Nick Saban kind of helps you translate to Bill Belichick pretty well since, they have a similar coaching style. Did any of you catch what Mac Jones or at least see the highlights? Because, really – preseason is the time to just really watch highlights and single plays instead of watching the whole. This is when the score doesn't matter.
I watched a couple live ones like the Bears, Dolphins. I watched live. Vikings. I was at. Just really highlights of the Jags and Jags, just because Trevor Lawrence.
So yeah, I mean,
Mac Jones.
I'd watch some highlights. I think Mac Jones will be good. I think he'll be able to fit well into a system and be a game manager right off the bat. Cam Newton did not look good. I think Mac Jones will be a better option at quarterback pretty soon. Maybe not right away, but I bet he'll be starting pretty quickly here.
Does he start week 4 against Tampa Bay with Tom Brady in town?
If they're 0-3.
Yeah, if they're 0-3.
I'm pulling up their schedule. I think they kick off against Miami. Oh, no, it's preseason.
It's like,
so they kick off with Miami at home, then at the Jets, and then Saints at home before they play Tampa Bay at home.
Probably be 2-1.
So
what 2 wins are you giving them?
I'm giving them the Jets and the Saints. I feel like the Saints are falling apart much quicker than I think people realize. I mean, they just had their number 2 cornerback retire.
I think the Saints and Patriots are pretty close, so I think that game could really go either way. As of today, who knows how it'll look week 3. So let's say honestly they could win all 3 of those games too. So they tend to own Miami at home. Even last year I think they blew out Miami at home. So Jake, you said 0-3 we would see him against Tampa Bay.
Or if Cam's hurt, obviously we'll see him before Hoyer.
Let's say no. Let's say no injury. I don't know if we're gonna see him by Tampa Bay.
I think we'll see him this year. We'll see him.
Definitely will. I think we see him in the first half of the season.
Yeah, I think we see him this year.
Schedule doesn't. I mean, they play the Bucs and the Saints are the only plus 500 teams until they see the Browns from last year to start their season.
Yeah, their schedule is super easy to begin.
And then after the Browns, though, they got to go to Atlanta, which should be an easy win. But then Titans at home, which is going to be tough. Go to Buffalo, go to Indianapolis, is tough. Then you got to play Buffalo again. I mean, Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence could be rolling by the time we see them in week 16, that looks like, or 17. And then they got to go to Miami to close out the season. And who knows where both those teams will be. But
I say week 10 against Atlanta.
We see Mac Jones.
We'll see Mac Jones.
Just because, what's your reasoning behind that? What makes you say that? Are they going to be bad? They're going to figure out 500.
I think Cam is going to be up and down. I think Patriots start. The biggest issue is Patriots' schedule is so easy to begin with that Cam. It may not matter with Cam struggles if they're winning. Then they may just roll with Cam through all the punches and bruises that he's gonna bring with it.
I just don't know though, because I think Belichick's the type to. If Mac Jones is better at practice, that's the guy who's starting the game.
And you might be right, and which is kind of why I think they might go week 10. I do think there's gonna be a point in time where Bill is gonna look at practice and say, "Okay, man, like I gotta get the kid in there." And I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't really think they're gonna be fighting too much for a playoff spot. So I would not be surprised if by week 10 they're kind of like, we're kind of middle of the pack. So let's see what Mac Jones. He's either gonna have us tank to a top pick next year, or he may be that extra push to get us in one of those final playoff spots.
I don't know, because this is the first time in 22 years that Bill Belichick has probably had this conversation, and even then he still started Drew Bledsoe a couple games once Tom made his debut as well. So Mac Jones might have to blow Cam and his stats out of the water for him to get that job this year, because I think for the most part it's Cam's to lose. Obviously, I think Mac Jones just has got to play unbelievable.
I don't know. I think I really like the starting in week 10 against Atlanta. Give him a little warm-up game, and then he goes straight into the fire with the Bills, the Colts, Titans. He's got to play all those guys next.
Bills twice.
And you see what he's made of.
I don't know.
Honestly, you should do it against the Texans, because they should be a dumpster fire by the time they see them in week 5.
Yeah, I think we see it sooner. I just think that we'll see that the Patriots offense will start to look more dynamic with Mac Jones and be able to have a little bit of a deeper threat. I mean, Cam Newton.
I kind of disagree with their offense being dynamic, because I still think their weapons are just awful.
Yeah, I don't think they have
position. I don't think their offense is going to be good no matter which quarterback it is in, but I do think I think their passing game will be a little better.
I like their tight ends. I like Hunter Henry. I like Johnny
He's
Smith.
hurt already. Like he is there.
Christian Wilkerson had 6 catches on 9 targets. Something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that's a little fantasy nugget. That was a fantasy.
Got to keep an eye out for that, But I don't think either way. I don't think the Patriots are a playoff team, but I do think Mac Jones will be the eventual starter in the first half of the season. I thought Zach Wilson had a pretty good game.
Yeah, Zach Wilson.
Pro Football Focus actually has Zach Wilson's performance first, then Mac Jones, then Justin Fields.
And Pro Football Focus, I'm not a big fan of their grades, but I do enjoy their stats. I just don't like their grades because they're totally objective. But Zach Wilson did pretty well. He really just didn't have really any egregious mistakes. He only threw 9 passes, but every play he was out there was never anything where you were kind of like, well, what is he doing? He didn't do anything spectacular per se. He did convert. He had a nice conversion on 3rd down. But he wasn't like, oh my God, like Zach Wilson was amazing, or oh my God, Zach Wilson is a bust.
Mm-hmm. He had the quickest average time to throw.
Oh wow!
Many of the rookie quarterbacks.
I'm very curious to see how that's gonna work in New York. I still think they're a dumpster fire of an organization. I think that's just bad news for a quarterback. Their 2nd round pick last year is playing. Their wide receiver is playing with the 3rd team. Denzel Mims. Yeah, I'm really nervous, but I was never super high on Zach Wilson. I thought he was going to be the 5th best quarterback in his class, and I thought going to the Jets was really going to solidify that. He really needs to go to a great organization. I was hoping that he probably just goes to San Francisco. That would have been much better for him. But I don't trust the Jets more than I don't trust Zach Wilson. But he definitely did look. He looked pretty good on Saturday, and Jets fans should be a little excited. But just remember, you're the Jets.
And it's preseason. these games don't matter, but scores don't count, but they do matter.
I mean, I think you should be excited for the future. I feel like
you know who else looked good in
it is preseason. It is game one in preseason. It is game one in preseason. I don't think the Jets do well this season. I do think Zach Wilson gets some good experience, and I think he is decent.
These are just live reps. That's all preseason is, just live reps against other dudes who aren't your teammates. Scores don't matter, but the reps do matter. Now, the reps are important. I'm not diminishing that at all, but I think we just need to take grains of salt with preseason and just view them as reps, live reps.
Yeah, but I definitely think preseason is a good place where players can showcase talent, and we saw that from all the quarterbacks today.
Destroyed the Vikings.
All of them.
Drew Lock
destroyed the Vikings twos and Denver.
Vikings.
I mean,
we saw the Vikings twos start last year. We shouldn't be surprised that Drew Lock destroyed them.
I actually don't think there will be a bust in this first round.
Statistically, there's gonna be one. Like, the odds of 5 quarterbacks being good in one draft, so rare.
I think I want to lean towards Jake because I think they did all look pretty good. I think Zach Wilson is coming into a bad situation. I agree, but I do think a couple years down the road, the Jets can be pretty decent. Draft some good pieces around him. Continue to build. Zach Wilson looked like a first round pick quarterback. He looked worthy of the pick.
I do want to see him against a first team defense, though.
Yeah, I mean that's like it for any of them. Against the full starters, but
the Bengals beat the Bucs. I did not peek that.
Yeah, man, Bengals going to Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, preseason. Everyone who wins preseason's really good.
Hey man, I seen Lions went 4-0 in the preseason.
16 Lions went 4-0.
Never
that is
forget
an incredible stat.
Take this shit with a grain of salt, my guys. Anyways, Marcel, who's your second quarterback you wanted to talk about?
Trevor Lawrence, his debut in Jacksonville. He was another one who you saw the talent, but you also saw the rookie mistakes. He wasn't awful. He did have a fumble. But you definitely saw the talent. Him and Marvin Jones seem to have a pretty solid connection. They found each other a couple times.
Not bad.
Football.
If I'm not mistaken, all 5 of the quarterbacks had a fumble, I believe.
4.
Well, if you include Jordan Love, all 6. Mac Jones may not have had one. So I believe 5 of the 6. I know, and Zach Wilson may not have one. I can't remember though. But Trevor Lawrence definitely had one, but he was able to recover it. He did make some pretty nice passes. I am really excited to see Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. But my biggest concern from that game is that the rest of that team is just god awful.
So bad.
It's so bad. They only sat like 5 players, and they were awful. They got dominated by Cleveland's 2s and 3s. I definitely, if I'm a Jags fan, I'm excited for Trevor Lawrence, but I am not excited for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They look like
offensive line's not ready for them to be good. I think that's going to be their main thing holding them back this year. Division's also very tough, but I think they could possibly be better than Houston.
What team do you think will be better, the Jags or the Jets? Which team do you think will have a better record at the end of the season?
Jags.
Jaguars get to play the Texans twice.
That's true.
They played the Texans twice, and
Jets
just have really the third worst team in the division, and their division is New England, and they're still a lot better than the Jets. So, I think Jacksonville will do better. Playing Houston, who's not going to have Deshaun Watson one way or another, it definitely helps. Well, yeah, shout out to Trevor Lawrence, solid debut. Really can't wait. Can't wait to see him get a full season under his belt. I think he's gonna struggle this year. That team is gonna be bad.
Yeah.
You guys see the Tim Tebow blocks? They're hilarious.
Yeah, I saw those.
You know what I think is the funniest thing about that? That that defender is so bad and should be cut. That Tim Tebow's block was that effective, but being so poor at the same time. You should cut that defender today.
Tim Tebow should be cut, man. I just don't know what they're doing. I'm not giving Tim Tebow that much time on this show.
When he's on a team that's so bad, he'll bring eyes to the team.
He's gonna bring money in.
Gotta be some sort of like you're trying to sell Tebow jerseys for like a couple months. I don't.
Yeah, it was number 1 and number 2 at NFL.com when he signed with them.
Exactly.
That's what Tebow does to your team, man. He just brings money in. Doesn't bring in a lot of wins, but he brings.
I think the Jets will be bad.
Yeah, that sounds like.
Or the Jaguars will be bad.
Bring in the money.
Bring in the money.
Do you guys think Gardner Minshew deserves a starting job somewhere?
So if there's any quarterback where an injury you want to call someone, I really think the coach should have called Jacksonville about Gardner.
The coach should call about Deshaun Watson.
There's 0% chance they trade him in the division.
Yeah,
they would have to give up way more.
I agree.
Way
That's
over.
True. It is within the division.
But I think Gardner deserves a shot. You know, I like seeing him in a place that really doesn't have their quarterback situation figured out. Washington, maybe. Well, Indianapolis is in the division with Jacksonville too, so they won't trade him there. Yeah, I think Gardner in Washington would have been the best spot for him. But you know, he stopped taking shits, so yeah, he said he's number 2. He said no number 2 for him. I love Gardner Minshew, man. He needs to be given a press conference every week. So I hope he does win a starting job somewhere and keeps it for a long time. Minnesota's very own Trey Lance made his debut, and he was definitely more of a mixed bag. You know, personally, I do think he had the worst debut of all the quarterbacks we're going to mention. But I will give him
an 80-yard touchdown pass.
Though. He did have an 80-yard touchdown pass. And he did have 3 egregious drops from receivers. So he really should have been 8 of 14 for however many yards. But he was 5 of 14. He had a fumble, and he did throw that 80-yard touchdown. And there were just times. Again, I didn't watch the whole game. I just watched the every play he had video that they put on YouTube. He did look a little uncomfortable in the pocket. Colin Cowherd, I was watching a show today, mentioned that he's only thrown 20 passes in the last 583 days. That is, and yet because North Dakota State didn't play last year, and then the year before there was no season the year before either, right?
Oh, so they only played like 2 games in the 2021 season, and one of them was like a straight up just a show out for Trey Lance being this highly sought out recruit. Yeah, and then the 2019 season is the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
he's only thrown the ball so many times in the last 500 days.
So he hasn't really been playing football very much. But he definitely showcased his talent. He just looked really uncomfortable in the pocket at times. Some of the passes, were a little shaky, weren't very good. But he's a Minnesota born. He is the highest Minnesotan ever drafted. He's out of Marshall, Minnesota. I'm gonna root for this kid 100%. I think he's gonna turn around and be good. He just was not good in his first preseason game. He wasn't awful, but definitely wasn't good.
I think it'll be helpful to coming up in a run-heavy system in San Francisco.
They're gonna play him to death, RPOs all day.
Yeah,
make the right.
I think it's a good fit for him. I think he's gonna develop nice. I We'll see him eventually this season. I don't think we see him right away.
Do you think they just bench Jimmy, or do they get a deal done?
No, Jimmy's not going nowhere. He had like a $25 million hit.
Dang, does he really? Let's check that out.
Yeah, he's got a big salary.
You know, personally, I think we see him in like package situations. I don't think I don't think he'll start a game now, unless, you know, it's the end of the year and they're either not going to the playoffs or they solidify their playoff start. Then he can start that one.
I mean, and Jimmy G staying healthy is.
That too, and that's if Jimmy G is healthy. He's only been healthy literally one time in his career.
Yeah.
So
you go Trey Lance over Josh Rosen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Josh Rosen may not even make the team. Like, yeah, man. Well, Josh Rosen's time in the NFL is done. It's over. In my Drake voice. But yeah, I think personally, you know, people like to Matt Nagy loves comparing Andy Dalton field situation to Mahomes, Alex Smith. I really think the situation in San Francisco is more like that, where I think if Jimmy G stays healthy, he's going to have a really good year for San Francisco, and it's going to cause them to be able to sit Trey Lance for a year. And then next year, they're going to be like, I don't care how good you were, Jimmy G. You're out of here. So,
I mean, I don't know. I'll take Nagy's word for it. I mean, he's the one that was the OC who saw that firsthand, you know. So
I don't care. But listen,
yeah,
whatever Nagy says right now, it doesn't matter what he says until right before week 1.
Yeah, they have a good defense. I think that's going to be the best division.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if all 4 of them made the playoffs.
Wow. That's a thing now, right? With the 7. Yeah.
You could do it. They could. I think they're the only division that has a chance to do that.
That'd be crazy.
That would be insane because odds are 2 of them probably have to play each other. It'd be crazy. Well, I guess theoretically there was a way they could all avoid each other. It'd just be incredibly difficult.
Yes. Quarterback number 4.
Jordan Love in Green Bay made his debut. And you know what? I'm not gonna hate on it. It was pretty solid. Green Bay's offense as a whole was not great. They had 5 3-and-outs, 1 turnover, a fumble loss from Jordan Love, and then 1 touchdown drive. That was, you know, he really showcased his talent on that touchdown drive. But Green Bay's offense wasn't good as a whole. You know, it's part of me. It's like this is nothing because none of the Packers stars played. Rodgers, Adams, Jones, all didn't play. And so for this season, I think it really doesn't mean much. But I do think, you know, going into next season, you kind of look at this and think, well, you know, is this great? 5 3-and-outs. That's Chicago Bears-esque right there. Like that you had 6 of your 7 drives, you didn't pick up a first down against Houston. On top of that, against the Houston Texans, and again, I know people want to love preseason, but I mean, Houston starters are basically a preseason roster. So I really thought their offense should have been better than that. But Jordan Love was solid. The offense as a whole isn't. So I mean, like Adams and Rodgers possibly gone next year. I don't know, man. Not be able to score more than 7 points on Houston is kind of concerning, but who knows? You know, what y'all think of Jordan Love?
I think he showed some flashes. Definitely isn't ready to be a quarterback this year, and I think it's still a couple years down the road. Packers will be fine as long as Aaron Rodgers is starting for them and playing, but it'll fall apart very quickly once he's gone.
Good.
Yeah, Jordan Love on paper looked like he had a real nice game. I watched like 2 seconds of it being, you know, passing just because it was football that was on. But his mechanics need to get better. You know who he looked like? You know who he reminded me while I was watching his highlights and watching him live? Former Packers great Matt Flynn. the ultimate bag secure. His mechanics just looked very eerily similar of his. And if the Packers want any sort of franchise building block out of him, they need to fix his mechanics tomorrow or yesterday, actually, I should say.
Yeah, Matt Flynn, Packer legend. Bag
Who is
getter.
agent? Bag getter. Who's agent?
Can't deny that.
Yeah.
Quarterback number 5, Marcel. Who are we on to now?
So Nick Foles made an appearance in the Chicago Bears game along with Andy Dalton. Neither of those quarterbacks, if I'm not mistaken, picked up a first down when either of them played. Somewhere in between there, this other guy played. I'm blanking on his name. I think it was like Tyler Bray or something. Oh yeah, it was Justin Fields who I think it's safe to say Justin Fields definitely had the most electric debut of all the quarterbacks. There's a lot of things you can look at to say, whether it was the best or not. He definitely had the best stats of all the quarterbacks, but he played a lot more than everyone else. But yeah, Justin Fields made his debut for the Chicago Bears, and let me tell you, it was a beautiful thing to watch for the most part. It started off slow, a few penalties that were out of his hands with the false starts and the holding. And then there were a couple of forced passes he made. Matt Nagy, classic Matt Nagy, not running the ball really at all. We had a fumble snap, and then he also fumbled the ball. So when he first came out there, like his first 3 drives, you kind of watch, and you were just like, yeah, I kind of see the issue with Matt Nagy's play calling, and I kind of see why he wanted to slow down with Justin Fields. But then after those first 3 drives that all went 3 and out, he turned it on, made plays with his legs, made the correct reads. Pretty much after those first 3 drives, 40 seconds left in the second quarter after the Bears give up a touchdown, he marches the team downfield to set up a field goal so they can put points on the board before the half, and then he comes out of halftime and leads 2 touchdown drives. He scored more points in the third quarter of that preseason game than the Chicago Bears did the final 10 weeks of the regular season altogether in the third quarter.
Yeah, he should probably start week 1. I don't know.
And let me
Why
tell you,
we're wasting our time with this Andy Dalton and this Nick Foles
well, Nick Foles is in the picture. He was just there collecting a check, being our third string quarterback and just taking shots at the offense. Whatever, Nick Foles, go back to Philly. But yeah,
Justin Fields looks like he's what you wanted Mitch Trubisky to be. Pretty much what you should have just drafted.
The exact same thing in the preseason. Let's wait till the regular season before we can start putting those 2 names. If we ever have to put those 2 names in the same sentence, I want to see them go against ones, because I'm sure Mitch Trubisky looked good in his preseason debut with the Bills.
No, well, okay.
Ashley, what I'm trying to say is, I wasn't trying to say anything talent-wise. I was just saying the way that they wanted Mitch Trubisky to play is the way that Justin Fields naturally plays. It doesn't seem like an issue to him. It just seems like the offense comes naturally.
And, even against the 2s and 3s, you just can't deny that the talent's there. There were just plays he made that a lot of quarterbacks just don't or can't make. And there were some key players out there for the Dolphins. I know Noah. I'm gonna butcher his name. Starts with an I. Yeah, he was out there for a lot of Justin Fields reps, and they had another corner that's not Howard or Jones that was out there for a lot of his reps too. Justin Fields made play, and he was playing with third string players too. I still don't know who. Rodney Adams. That's the first time I've really heard that name. I saw his name on the roster a few times and heard, read some tweets. I had no idea who Rodney Adams was, but I mean, Justin Fields made him look really good this past week. And so, I think when it comes to, it's just preseason. I really think that's when it matters, especially when it comes to score and stats as a whole. I just think looking at individual plays, I think Fields just made a lot of them that make you say, yeah, why are you waiting? Like, why, what do you need to see that makes you believe he's not ready to start? Let me tell you, he didn't do anything that makes me say this is why he shouldn't start week 1.
No,
He didn't do anything to say that.
He has, and the ability on the ground just makes him day one just your best option. Like you can try to tell me Andy Dalton's like better, more accurate, sure. But the playmaking ability of Justin Fields just is gonna be so much more important on third downs. It's just something, it's a leap that you traded up to get him. Start him week 1. That's how I'm feeling.
A lot of people compare him to a point guard on basketball. That's kind of how he plays the quarterback position.
I like that, and I feel like just get him out there. The reps are gonna eventually. He's gonna be top
He's
10
already the best quarterback in the league in mine. I don't know about you guys, but it's him, then Pat Mahomes, then Rodgers, then Brady. Like that's just the quarterback ranking right now. And you guys might have someone else, but hey, that's just
make the rules.
I think you should use your first round fantasy football pick on Justin Fields.
Let me tell you, if it's number 1 overall, because I don't think he's getting past anyone doesn't have a number 1, then yeah, I'm taking Fields. Honestly, if we did all-time redraft, I would take Justin Fields number 1. Number 1 overall. No, but I'm as a Bears fan, I'm really excited. You know what? I have no problem with 100% believing he is going to be by far the best quarterback in Bears history. Now, that's still a low bar. Like, it really, there's Sid Luckman, and then there's everyone else. It's
Jay Cutler, but nicer.
So, I mean, it's a low bar. I think he's going to be better than Jay Cutler and Mitch Trubisky, who are probably his biggest competitions, especially over the last 30 years.
He's already better than Mitch Trubisky.
But I don't know if the Bears have ever had, especially not in my lifetime. I can't speak on anything basically before 2000 when it comes to the Bears. Didn't watch them then. But I've never seen a quarterback with talent, poise, and confidence like Justin Fields has had so far. And I know it's only week 1 preseason, but I mean, Lawrence and Lance both look kind of rattled out there in their preseason debuts. Wilson, not so much. Zach Wilson actually looked pretty calm and collected, in my opinion. And so did Mac Jones. But, Fields had, the offense just got off to a horrible start with the penalties and the drop snap and then, the fumble and him trying to make a spin move that you can't make in the NFL. And he just kind of it just didn't seem to rattle him at all. He just kind of bounced back. I'm so excited, guys, man. Justin Fields is my quarterback. Justin Fields is a Chicago Bear.
Exciting times on the South Side in Chicago. Quarterback number 6, I believe we are on now.
No, that was number 6.
That was number 6. That was all 6.
But then, all right, then. Marcel, since you've been obviously paying attention more to Bears camp and such, who has been lighting it up in your opinion, or at least has caught your eye? That name keeps getting repeated by the coaching staff and the tweets and all that extra beyond the football field and the football players. Who's been making the most noise?
Well, I mean, okay, so I'm gonna eliminate Justin Fields here because I could probably talk. Yeah. I could spend a whole show talking about how much I and beat writers and players love Justin Fields. So, not including him. Mm-hmm. Just a few names, I'm looking forward to watching in preseason and have just kind of stood out in practice. Jalen Johnson had a great practice today, picked off Andy Dalton twice, and they were both 2 fantastic interceptions. I think I love Jalen Johnson coming out. Jalen Johnson is the first player I was ever like, man, the Bears got to get him, and the Bears actually drafted him. So, so I'm super excited for Jalen Johnson. I think he has the potential to be a really good cornerback one. Maybe I believe all corners have the ceiling to be like top 5 corners in the league. So maybe he could become that. But just kind of seeing, I think he's just going to be a really good cornerback one, maybe probably top 10. In that conversation when it's all said and done. But also on the other side, Kendall, huh?
I was just gonna say, speaking of, I just forgot his name. You just name dropped him.
Jalen Johnson.
Jackson. What's his last name? Yeah, Jalen Johnson. Has he done anything this offseason to fix his torn labrums?
I know he has,
especially as a cornerback, having to use those shoulders.
Surgery.
He had surgery. Okay, that's a good thing then. So he should be able to go 100% mentally and physically as well.
But I mean, if there was one major concern I had for Jalen Johnson, because honestly, when he was healthy, he was arguably the best rookie corner last year. At least he was one of the best rookie corners last year. But his shoulders are super scary to me. Like, I mean, he basically has glass shoulders, and so I'm really hoping that's not gonna be a problem, that he could keep them healthy.
If he had the surgery, then he should be pretty good to go.
Kendall Vildor is getting a start at cornerback 2. He has been getting a lot of love in OTAs and then training camp. I think I always thought he had the potential to be solid. I didn't know Bears were that high on him that he was going to be cornerback 2. I thought he was probably going to get a shot at the nickel spot. But the players seem to be really high on him. I don't really recall him being too involved in a play against the Dolphins, which is good and bad. You didn't give up. He didn't give up a big play, but I don't really remember him making a break on a ball. Making a good play or whatever. But the team seems to be really excited about him. I think he got kind of destroyed in their joint practice, though. I hear he had kind of a rough day, but I didn't notice him in preseason, and I'm really the big names. And then Duke Shelley apparently is solidifying himself as our nickel back. Okay. Look at his graph. Duke Shelley had a really nice day on Saturday against the Dolphins. He was involved in a lot of plays. He was a great he was a great tackler. Tristan's just playing videos while I'm talking. So rude.
ESPN.com got unmuted.
And he made some pretty good plays against the Dolphins, and so I'm really curious to see how he's going to do in that nickel spot. I think he'll do okay. I still think unless both of them, him and Vildor, both take at least they gotta be at least average in this league, and I think if they can both be average, maybe we don't have to invest in a corner next year in the draft, but. Tevin Jenkins has not practiced at all in training camp. That is becoming concerning. It's been having a back issue. This issue has gone on through college. I think it's more the Bears just being overly safe than anything, and at least that's what I'm hoping it is. But he hasn't practiced in training camp at all. That's not what's up, man. But we did just sign Jason Peters.
That was a good signing.
We'll see. 39. We'll see. Justin Fields is still amazing. Allen Robinson has been making plays too. So is David Montgomery. Justin Fields is amazing. Khalil Mack is still a force to be reckoned with. Again, Matt Nagy has kind of handled this quarterback situation a little better over the last. I really just didn't like how he just came out saying Andy Dalton's our week 1 starter. I just don't see why you do that in May and June. Makes no sense to me, simply because you invested in this quarterback and players are now starting to talk about this quarterback. And if players believe Fields is the better option, you have to go with Justin Fields, and now you just made yourself look stupid. So I think that's all
something they're not used to. So
I get that, man, but there's just no reason to say, well, Dalton is going to be our week 1 starter when you just should say, well, we want Dalton is our guy right now, but Justin Fields is going to come in. And, you just don't say, that's our week 1 starter. You just say, the starting job belongs to Andy Dalton. Justin Fields will have to earn it in training camp and preseason if he wants it. Every spot should be up for competition.
I agree.
Yeah, you could have just said the quarterback spot is open instead.
No, I have no problem with him necessarily saying Dalton should be QB1, but why'd you don't name him the week 1 starter? You should just left that Andy Dalton's our quarterback 1 right now. Boom. And that should have been what it been instead of Andy Dalton is our week 1 starter. And so now that's all everyone's gonna run with. And everyone is really starting. I mean, let me tell you, I keep saying if he outplays Andy against Buffalo too, I don't know how you go into that locker room and say Andy Dalton is our week 1 starter. I just don't know how you do it.
You have to start him against Buffalo. You would have to go against the ones.
No, Andy should play quarter 1, and Fields should play quarter 2. That's what I should do.
2 series of Justin Fields against Buffalo's ones, because Buffalo was a top 15 defense over the last 2 or 3 years now, and you need to see how he can compete against a said defense of that caliber. I think you need at least 2 series against the ones for that. He should start against Buffalo, go 2 series, and then get him out, see how he does.
They're not Andy Dalton's gonna start week 1. I'm sorry. Andy Dalton's gonna start against Buffalo. Like they're not gonna go against that. I just think, if your first 2 or 3 series,
say Andy Dalton shows out against that top 15 defense.
Hey, if he does, then that's him earning the starting spot. I just don't see it happening. I have zero problem with Andy Dalton playing well to keep his starting spot. If he does that, good for him. I just think Justin Fields is going to end up playing better, and the locker room and the media and all the coaches that aren't Matt Nagy are going to be like, dog, you cannot start Andy Dalton week 1 with Justin Fields sitting right. Why even put the team through that? And when everyone knows, win or lose, everyone's going to be calling for Justin. Unless Andy Dalton has that Alex Smith type season, which I just don't see a guy who didn't look very good in Dallas with great weapons in Dallas and a decent O-line. I just don't see how he's going to be better. I don't see how he's going to be that much better than the rookie prospect I shouldn't say wasted. You used the 11th pick.
Jump. No, you didn't use the pick. You jumped.
Yeah, you jumped. You gave up. And not only that, it's not like there's so many Bears fans who are like, it doesn't matter. Winning doesn't really matter this year. Like, yes, it does. We don't have a 1st round pick next year. Like that pick goes to the Giants. We should be trying to win as many games as possible. It is much better to get into at least for this year, for sure. It is a much better situation for us to get in the playoffs as a wild card, which Justin Fields would give us a chance to do that, than it would be to, have Fields sit and watch Dalton go out there and stink it up, which, he may or may not do. I just think the idea of not trying to win this year is stupid.
I think if they do roll out Dalton, first sign of struggle, he's out. Has to be.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be quick if Dalton does come in, but I don't know. I think they should just throw in Justin Fields. I think they will. I mean, they were able to make the playoffs with Mitch Trubisky. Like, I think they'll be able to win at least 6 or 7 games with Justin Fields starting the whole year, which I think would be a success for a first year.
Wait, I'm sorry. How many wins?
I said at least 6 or 7 if he started the whole year.
I feel like they go like 9-8.
I think this is a 500 ball club if Fields starts. If Fields starts all 17 games, so about 9-8, 8-9. I think they're below 500. Andy Dalton starts too many games. I think week 1 against the Rams, I think that game is just too important for you to start Andy Dalton. I really do. If it was week 1 against like Buffalo or Baltimore, someone in the other conference that, see the losing to them won't affect the seeding too much, I've been way more inclined to say, yeah, go ahead, go Andy Dalton week 1 against that tough defense. But because the Rams that's possibly has wild card implications. I don't think you can just throw that game away saying, well, we don't want to ruin Justin Fields because Aaron Donald might come and skate. Like, man, Aaron Donald can sack him twice. I'm telling you, that will not bother Justin Fields. And
Yeah.
if
Pro
he gets
Football
that
Focus doesn't like that he had the longest average time to throw of all the rookie quarterbacks.
But they're not a fan of good offensive line. They're just not.
they're like, how dare you find success? You're a quarterback in Chicago.
Oh,
Yeah, it'll be exciting, but it wasn't an exciting first game for the Vikings, I will say. Out here in Denver, and first NFL game that I get to watch really that I actually watched, of course, was my Vikings getting smacked, but we're not too worried about that. I think that only means good things for the regular season.
I'm not tripping about our 2s and 3s getting tossed around by Denver's 1s. I mean,
No,
there's a couple guys like Cam Dantzler I wish didn't get burned, so that's slightly concerning coming into his second year. Stephen Weatherly and DJ Wanham, like Stephen Weatherly jumping off sides and against, going with the 2s. He shouldn't be doing that. DJ Wanham didn't contain well. I mean, there was a lot of disappointment overall as a team. Couple 3 or 4 guys stand out to the most, being second, third, fourth year guys that probably should be doing that. But on positive notes, I have 3 names that I think have been standing out for the Vikings, and not just.
I bet we're gonna share one for sure.
Oh, we're sharing one for sure. Mine are all meat and potato guys. Blake Brandel, offensive tackle. He played left tackle at the second unit. Played extremely well. PFF loved him. The second guy, Wyatt Davis, he had a really bad first rep, but then really turned it around as the game went on. PFF loved both those guys, ironically enough. And then my third guy, he didn't play, but has been making great headways in camp. Olamisi Oli Udo, switching from right tackle to right guard. Looks like a freaking stud. Solidified that job. Get Dakota Dozier the hell out of Minnesota.
I didn't hear Dakota Dozier
out. Huh?
I didn't hear Dakota Dozier under 3 and 4 people. It's so funny. Vikings make cuts today, and like all of Vikings Twitter, just like, and none of them were Dakota Dozier for some reason. Like that's.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if he gets cut till like after the third preseason game, just to simply keep our offensive line fresh and as healthy as we can before the season rolls out. Like none of the starting 5 from the offensive line started on Saturday.
Didn't Dakota play?
Yeah, but he's not the starting RG.
I actually think I wouldn't be surprised if Oli Udo.
Sorry, Marcel. What? I'm sorry, Will. What?
Right guard, man.
The starting right guard didn't play in Saturday's game.
Dakota Dozier did play, man. You're starting right guard.
I believe we held out 32 players and had most 2s and 3s go.
I don't think. Yeah, I think it's going to be Cleveland, Ezra Cleveland, and Oli Udo are going to be our starting guards week 1.
I like it. I mean, plus
Rashad Hill, Brian. I don't think we see Darrisaw or Wyatt Davis starting right off the bat.
So my only thing is, I've heard that Darrisaw could be ready for week 1 after whatever the heck's going on with him right now.
Yeah,
is he injured?
Be ready for week 1. They're reevaluating a surgery he had last winter for his abs, which I guess is affecting his groin surgery somehow. I don't know, man.
Oh, well, I thought Darrisaw would be a week 1 starter.
Right? I mean, I could see Wyatt Davis if Darrisaw's not ready week 1 and we want to push Cleveland back to his natural tackle position. But that's also where my boy Blake Brandel comes in, who has been having a pretty darn good camp and had a pretty solid game against the Broncos as well.
Trez. If they move Cleveland to left tackle, who's starting that left guard?
Wyatt Davis.
Dakota Dozier, man.
He won't even be on the roster.
Mike Zimmer.
It would be Davis.
He's gonna get cut. Yeah, Marcel, just as
Drew
you.
Samia? Anyone? Drew Samia? Does anyone
on the
roster?
Yeah, he's
Does anyone
actually had
wanna
a
see
good
more of
camp.
that?
He had a good game. He had a good game against Denver. PFF liked him
Yeah.
too.
It's
That's
going to
so
be
funny.
interesting. We'll have some new starters. Obviously, we'll have 2 new starters. It looks like Cam Dantzler is the third. Will be our third cornerback.
Yeah, Breland's starting over him.
Yeah,
right?
it looks like Breland and Pete are getting the start, and then we have a new linebacker starting. Nick Vigil, third
Yep.
linebacker. So some new faces that we'll be seeing.
Yeah.
That's
Obviously,
exciting. I think I'm excited to see, new faces on the defensive line. Obviously, Michael Pierce, we have yet to see play snaps. Dalvin Tomlinson, and then Sheldon Richardson returning. That should be a refreshed, revamped defensive line. Daniil Hunter should be playing.
will be playing.
Yeah,
No
we'll be
tweet.
playing. Weatherly's getting the start over DJ Wonham. But I'm
I wouldn't be
excited.
surprised.
I'm still excited for Patrick Jones.
I am too. I
Patrick
wouldn't be surprised as we get closer to week 1 if that continues to go back and forth between DJ Wanham and Stephen Weatherly.
I agree.
Wouldn't be surprised if DJ Wanham gets the start this Saturday, and then Stephen Weatherly in week 3, and then all of a sudden we get the official week 1 depth chart, and there's DJ Wanham.
Another player on the Vikings I really thought was fun to watch is KJ Osborne.
Yeah, I was about to mention him.
Didn't really know much about him. He just seems really explosive. Just some guy who can make big plays for us.
He's a wide receiver 3 right now.
Yeah, he just had such a poor rookie year on special teams. He just kind of, as the year progressed in 2020, just getting buried and forgotten about. But he's had a great camp. Looked real explosive against Denver too. I mean, didn't get the ball that many times. Amir Smith-Marset looked pretty explosive against Denver too.
Is the Chad Beebe experience over?
Well, he didn't play because I guess he's the wide receiver number 3 right now.
No, I'm pretty sure KJ Osborne is.
Well, none of our starters played.
I don't think.
You mean to tell me KJ Osborne's our starter too?
I think he's wide receiver 3. That's what I was reading. I was just, I got a bunch of Vikings people on my Twitter. That's what I was reading. KJ Osborne had been getting wide receiver 3 reps in practice, and he was probably wide receiver 1 on Saturday.
I like him out the slot. I think he'd be really
I think that's what they're going to play.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jefferson.
Actually, I agree.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see just Jefferson in the slot more and they have KJ on the outside with that speed. I've been learning a lot that the slot they like the better receivers in the slot, with the exception of DeAndre Hopkins. He's like one of the few that doesn't really run out the slot. Because Allen Robinson's about.
Because he's like 6'4".
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying Hopkins should change that because Hopkins is great no matter where he plays. But Allen Robinson's starting to get some reps at the slot position too. So,
Yeah, as long as you're under like 6'5", you should be able to play the slot at receiver.
Or if you're Calvin Johnson. Because
He
Calvin
can
Johnson play.
The name Megatron just screams anything. Just on the field, anything goes for him. Yeah, man. Y'all got anything else you'd like to name drop? Exciting. Week 2 of preseason is Thursday, I believe it kicks off.
I'm excited for I'm excited for preseason's cool and all, and it's exciting, but you always have to remember to not take
grains of salt.
Exactly. Don't take too big of takeaways from everything that's happening in preseason. The NFL season will be here faster than we know it. I'm excited. Super, super excited for the NFL season. Super excited for NFL fantasy. I think we're going to try to get a live show recording the 30th.
30th, yep.
The 30th for an NFL fantasy draft and a live podcast. Jake and I will be traveling back across the plane to
get it.
Yeah, to eat pizza.
Oh, that's right, Jake. Bring your pizza money.
Little Caesars, baby.
I gotta go to work.
Hey, you hear that? Any pizzas want to sponsor us? Hey, man. We'll take anything at this point. Little Caesars, $5 pizza. Just give us a call. You don't even got to pay us. Just give us free pizza.
Yeah, man, looking forward. Marcel said it earlier, a good way to help sum up preseason and preseason watching. Stats and what they do on paper is important. Maybe some individual plays is important from certain players. But all around, scores don't matter. Records don't matter. I just want to see certain players perform well. Just want to see.
I don't think stats matter that much either. Maybe touchdowns. That's probably it, I would say.
I think stats from a quarterback perspective help. I think 10 plus passing is something worth taking note of. Once, if it's under, like dudes will be in for like 2 series throws 6-7 times and then they're done. If you can get past that 10, 15 passing attempt threshold, in my opinion, I think those stats are worth taking into account in terms of development, at least. Ooh, I can't wait. I love football. I love X's and O's, baby. I love gridiron, meat and potatoes. Let's go. Come on now.
All right, go ahead and close us out, Travis.
Trezin Harris, you can find me on Twitter at @TradIdy_19. That's TREDIDY_19. Come check us out. Pissed off Bulls fans, pissed off Packer fans. Who's next? Who am I pissing off next?
Who's next? Go. Yo, this is Marcel, aka at @Styles_Rapids Life. You can follow me on Instagram. Go like the pics. You can follow me on Twitter. Soldier Fields QB1. It's coming. Speaking of QB1, Kirk Cousins. Amen.
Quirk.
Amen.
With a Q.
Amen.
Is QAnon Quirk?
Amen. Do better. Anyway, make sure you give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram. I'm talking. My Twitter feed is nothing but Justin Fields. You go look at my likes, it's probably just Justin Fields. And one more thing, Kanye, where's the album? Come on.
Who the hell is Wanda, man?
Give me a follow.
Jake the Rookie, THA, like across the plane. You can follow me on Twitter, rating fantasy football champion. Me and Will over here are going to be making some fantasy football content for YouTube. Make sure to check that out when it comes out. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. Signing off here. This is Will. Check us out as always, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at Across the Plane. And like Jake said, fantasy football content coming very soon. We're going to have some pre-draft rankings to help you out with your fantasy draft because like I always say, don't be drafting during the preseason because one of your players might just get hurt. You never know. Check me out, Instagram, Twitter, Sports Talk Willie. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week, folks.
Peace.